Okay, guys, welcome to Falindo. So, in today's video, I want to talk about the immediate relative of your US citizen. Okay, so why we want to talk about this subject? And because immediate relatives of US citizens, they have some preference, which means this category of people, we're gonna talk about them to know to tell you who is an immediate relative of US citizen. But what you need to know, if you are an immediate relative of a US citizen, generally it take like almost let's say in between 5 or 9 months you got your approval, and then couple of months more to submit passports, stuff like that, and then between 10 or 12 months you get your green card, which means it's really fast to get your green card when you are an immediate relative of a US citizen. The reason is because there is no limit on the number of visa available for US for immediate relative of US citizen. So you don't have to wait for when the visa will be available. The visa for you is immediately available. So they're gonna process your case really fast when you are an immediate relative of a US citizen. And then also, if you are an immediate relative of a US citizen, if you are living in United States, let's say most of the time you should be legal, okay? It's if you are illegal, it's something else. If you are living in USA, let's say on a visa, on parole, or whatever the status, you can adjust your status while you are in United States, which means you don't need to move back to your country for the interview. So that means your petitioner, that means the US citizen, will submit two forms, the I-130 and the I-485 together, so that you can adjust your status while you are in the United States. So those are some of the advantage of immediate relatives of a US citizen. So, but finally, who is an immediate relative of a US citizen? Who? So let's say, so first of all, it's the wife, okay? Your wife, let's say wife or husband, spouse, okay? Wife or husband. So your spouse, let's say spouse, okay? Spouse is, so we got spouse. Second, we got parent, okay? Your parent, mother or father. This is an immediate relative. And then third, we got child. But be careful, child. So there is something that, but not every child, which means really. So not every child, okay? We need to be careful. Not every child, especially your child should be a not married, okay? Not married. If your child is married, this child is not an immediate relative, which means you can still file for your child if your child is married, but understand this is not an immediate relative, because to be an immediate relative, this child shouldn't be married, and then this child should be under 21, under 21 years old, okay? 21 years old. So 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 these two categories, they are the immediate relative of a US citizen, okay? So those people, when you apply for them, it's really fast. So even, let's say, for child, if you apply for a child not married under 21, you are a US citizen. If if for any reason there is some delay, you can call them. You can even apply for a K2 visa, or you can even apply for a K2 visa for your wife too, if they are waiting for, okay? So, but generally, like I told you, it's really fast. Now, let's let's talk about each of them specifically. So let's talk about Okay, spouse. Okay, let's give some detail about. So the spouse, it's an immediate relative. So you can file for your spouse. So, but understand, if you're filing for, some people ask sometimes questions. Let's say if I'm filing for my wife, can I just have one I-130 and then that's the form? Can you just have one I-130 with your spouse and your child? Is this possible? The answer is not. You cannot get one form for your spouse and child. You're gonna have to file a separate form, one for your spouse and one for your child. You cannot combine them. You cannot combine them together. You need to file a separate form. Okay, so that's, you need to understand that. Uh, no, thing to keep in mind. So, what other advantage for spouse of a U.S. citizen? So, if the spouse is already in USA, so you can adjust the status in USA. You're gonna have to file another form, the form I-485. So those two forms, you file them together. So this person don't need to move back to his home country. So this person, the green card can be processed in United States. But you need to keep in mind, if this person is not legal in this country, you're gonna have to file a waiver. A waiver, it's not easy. Generally, you need a lawyer to file a waiver, okay? So that's why you need to keep in mind, if the spouse is not in USA in legal status, okay? So what other advantage? Let's say if your spouse, say, let's say you married to a U.S. citizen, and then you got some kid, your child is overseas in another country. So can the U.S. citizen file for your child which is overseas? So the answer is yes, but there is some specific conditions. This child, okay? So if you marry a U.S. citizen, if the marriage occur before the child got 18 years old, 18 years old. So if your child already have 18 years old and you get married, the U.S. citizen cannot file an application for this child, okay? I'm talking about, understand, stepchild, okay? So a stepchild can be considered like a child of the U.S. citizen if the marriage to the U.S. citizen occur before this child get 18 years old. So at this point, the U.S. citizen that you marry, can file an application for this child, which is his stepchild. But remember, the marriage must occur before this child get 18 years old, okay? So the same conditions for the child. This child, you can still apply, but if the to be an immediate relative, this child must be under 21. So which mean what? Which mean, as long as the marriage occur before 18 years old, this child is a stepchild. The U.S. citizen can decide to file an application anytime, anytime. So which means even after 21 years old, you can file for a child. But understand, it's not gonna be an immediate relative. Okay? It's gonna be another category that's gonna take some time. We're talking about immediate relatives, okay? So which means, advice, if you marry a U.S. citizen and your child don't have a before your child got 18 years old, it's better to quickly file an application before 21. Why? Because the application will be processed faster. Okay, it will be processed faster. Okay, so that's what you need to keep in mind. Okay, so now, so that's some those details about wife. Now let's talk about child. Okay, let's talk about the child. So child unmarried under 21 of a US citizen is an immediate relative. Okay, you need to, so as I understand, we take a specific group. We are talking about immediate relative. That doesn't mean when your child is married or over 21, you cannot file a petition. You can still file, but that's gonna be another category. We will talk about it later. Today we're talking about immediate relative. We're talking about this specific category because their case is processed faster. We want you to understand all the detail about these people. So, child of US citizen unmarried under 21. So, what we need to keep in mind, so if this child get another a child, what we call a grandchild, let's say your grandchild, that doesn't happen quite often, but because if you get a child on the under 21, but we know some case if the child get a kid at 18 or 17, that might happen. So what gonna be in this case, this grandchild, you can add it on the applications. You don't need two applications, just one application. Okay, so this grandchild will have the benefit of your child. Okay, so you're just gonna have one application on one I-130, and you will include your grandchild. Your grandchild will be able to come in USA with your child. Okay, so that's the point. Okay, so because it's gonna be a derivative. Okay, derivative. Understand the concept of derivative. What we call derivative. Most of the time, if you file an application for someone, I say most of the time, there is some exceptions. Generally, this person, let's say, let me explain because it's important to understand the term derivative. So let's say I am a beneficiary. That means someone file an application for me, a US citizen or a beneficiary or a permanent resident file an application for me. Most of the time, I can attach when with this application my child. I say most of the time, and also I can attach with this application my spouse. Most of the time, that means those person get also the same benefits than me. But understand, for a child, I can attach my child as long as my child is under 21. Okay, I say generally, but there might be some detail. Example, we just show you if a US citizen filing for a wife, we need one application for the wife and one application for the child. When you a citizen filing for spouse with child, you can just attach the child to the application. So which means there is some exception. But I say but other situations, most of situations, it's always there is some exception in the case of citizen, but most of the time you can attach your child under 20 on your spouse in any application that you got the benefit. Understand, it's about bringing family together. There is a law in the United States. So I understand, how can you ask me to move without my spouse? Okay, that's not fair. That's why most of the time they let you bring your spouse and your child, which is under 21. Most of the time they let you get this benefit. Okay, so let's say move on. Let's come back to, we're talking about derivative. The derivative is spouse or child of a beneficiary. Okay, so let's come back to our case. We were talking about the child unmarried under 21, and then of which is an immediate relative of a US citizen. So if the child got another child, what we call a grandchild, we can just attach this grandchild. That's gonna be like here. This grandchild gonna be a derivative. Okay, derivative. Okay, that's what this grandchild. Okay, now while we are talking about child, okay, let's make it clear also. It's really important. There is a rule also. If you are a citizen, you're applying for your child. If your child is under 18 years old, okay, so you bring your child in USA, your child will automatically become US citizen. That's a great US citizen. Every time you file for your child, before the child get 18 years old, when this child get in USA, automatically will become a US citizen. That's why most of the time, let's say if you apply for your child in 16 years old or 17 years old, most of the time NVC gonna send you a letter telling you, oh, you better hurry up. In some time they will expedite your case, telling you, okay, we're gonna send you directly to the interview. That means if your child is about to get 18 years old, they will send you a letter. Okay, we're gonna send you directly to the interview. You will bring all the paper to the interview because they don't want you to lose this possibility. Because if you bring your child in USA under 18 years old, this child become automatically a US citizen. You need to keep that in mind. Okay, so which means that's a good advantage. So there is two cases immediate relative, but this is really good when you bring your child and you say under 18 years old, this shall become automatically a US citizen. I'm talking about US citizen, okay? Not I'm not talking about permanent resident, okay? So that's really a great benefit. Now, one more thing, since we are talking about child, we know also some case where the child is a US citizen. So let's see, I'm talking about parent, okay? Parent. So we say the parent is also mother or father, right? Is an immediate relative of a US citizen, okay? So you can apply for your parent because your parent is an immediate relative. But keep in mind, in order to apply for your parent, at least, in fact, for whatever, for your wife, but not for your wife, but especially for parent, in order to apply for your parent, you need to be 21 years old, okay? 21 years old to apply for your parent. Okay, you need to be 21 years old to apply for your parent. Okay, so you can apply for your parent. The same questions we might ask, let's say if a US citizen is applying for a parent, do you need to file a separate application, one for mother, one for father? Yes, you need to file a separate applications, one for your father and one for your mother. You cannot get one application and include, your mother like a spouse. You need it's the same thing also. You can say, okay, let's say I'm applying for your for my mother, I'm a US citizen. You can ask the question, can you just attach, that's mean the child of your mother, which is your brother, by the way, eh? Can you just get one form to attach the child of your mother or the child of your father? No, that's not possible because the child of your mother or father, this is your brother and sister, and the law give you the right to apply for your brother and sister. It's gonna be another category. Brother and sister, they are not immediate relative. You can still file for them, but we will talk about it. This is another category. That's why you cannot just say, "Hey, I'm filing for my mother. Just let me put, a child of my mother in the application." You cannot do that because your brother and sister, I'm talking about US citizen, because your brother and sister, this is another category. You can still file for them. So that's not possible. You cannot include, brother and sister on the application that you're filing for your mother or for your father. So separate application for mother, separate application for father, and then separate application for brother or sister. You can, because especially brother and sister, they are not immediate relative. Remember, brother and sister, they are not immediate relatives. Okay, they are other category, which means their visa is not immediately available. That's another category. Today we are talking about immediate relative of a US citizen. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on. Now, let's say we know some case when you applying for your parent, for your mother. We know some case where parents are separate. So you living in USA with your father, and let's say your mother is another country, but your mother get married to another man. Can you apply for this step parent? Can you apply for this step parent? It's yes, as long as the marriage occur before you got 18 years old. So which means if you are a US citizen, you can apply for your step parent. You can apply for your step parent as long as the marriage occur before you got 18 years old. So the law give you this possibility to apply for your step parent. Okay, so as long as the marriage occur before you got 18 years old. So it's the same thing also we told that before, talking about child. Let's remember. So let's say we told you before, if you married a U.S. citizen, you married a U.S. citizen. So this U.S. citizen, let's say you got a kid overseas. I already told you that you got a child overseas. This U.S. citizen can apply for your child like a stepchild, as long as the same thing, the marriage occur before this child got 18 years old. So if you married the US citizen and your child already get 18 years old, this citizen cannot apply for your child, like a stepchild. You need to keep that in mind. Okay, you need to keep that in mind. You cannot be the stepchild in this case. So in this case, you are the one that later on that will apply for your home child. The US citizen cannot apply for you. Okay? And understand all the rule when I'm talking about stepchild, all the rule, the same rule. Example, the stepchild, if it is under 21 years old, it is an immediate relative. If the stepchild is over 21 years old, is you can still file for, that means as long as the marriage occur before this child got 18 years old, the US citizen can still file for your child over 21 years old, but that's not gonna be an immediate relative. It's gonna take, longer. Okay, it's gonna take the time gonna be longer. That's what you need to keep in mind. Okay, because a stepchild is a child according to the law. Okay, but the same application when we're talking about 18 years old, that means if your stepchild come in USA before 18 years old, it's still gonna be a US citizen. That's the way you should understand when we are talking about stepchild. Okay, so I understand the way to prove that is your stepchild, as long as you get the marriage certificate and you will the birth certificate of the child, and then they will see a name of one of the parent that is married to the US citizen. I mean, this proof that this is stepchild. Okay, that's the proof to that's a stepchild. It's the same thing to prove step parent, your age. That's the way eh, that's the way it works. Okay, so what we're talking about is about immediate relatives. Immediate relative, it's really fast. So one of the big advantage of immediate relative is when you are in USA, that means the US citizen can adjust your status. What we mean by adjust your status? It means the US citizen can change your status, to a permanent resident quickly by filing exactly two forms. The US citizen will file the form I-130 and the form I-485. And then, which means once you got those two form filed, you got a pending case. Whatever occur, generally immigration officer cannot deport you because you got a pending case. And by the way, let me tell you one of the good advantage. If you got a pending I-485, you can even apply for employment. If that takes some time, you can even apply for the I-785. That's mean the employment authorization work. You can apply for unemployment authorization, which will give you, if you cannot work, but it's not gonna take that long. Like I told you, that can take between 5 months to 9 months for the approval, and then for all the process that can go up to 1 year. But if you can't work, you can still apply for. It's free. You can apply for the employment authorization. But let me give you an idea of the money you need to pay. 735, excuse me, 525 for the I-130. For the I-485 is 1,225, which means 1,760. That's a lot of money too. Okay, to adjust your status. So I hope you appreciate this video. So the idea is just to give you some detail about immediate relative of a US citizen, the way it works. So on my next video, we will talk about other relative of US citizen, especially brother and sister, as well as a child, married child, as well as child over 21 years old. The way it works, how long that might take. That's gonna be my next video. And then after that, another video. We'll do another video for permanent resident as well. So remember to subscribe to my channel if you need some tips on immigration. We are here to help you. So remember to subscribe and give me a like. Okay, so see you for my next video. Bye.